Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name is DFree, and here today we're going to talk about the movies team and the best tips and tricks I can give you guys when it comes to building a cohesive and competitive and just well-built movies team in general. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below other ones you want to see. I'm considering doing GT next, potentially. GT may be a little bit more straightforward, obviously, but I'm considering doing that one next, and let me know down below other teams you guys want to see. And on top of that, though, I just want to say in the very beginning, if you're somebody that just can't stand when I take a couple of minutes to explain this or that, or I maybe talk too much for you in the videos, you're impatient or whatever, this video is just probably not for you, because this is just going to be no gameplay. It's just going to be me explaining things. So if you can, please listen through the entirety of the video. Last little thing I want to say before we get started is a brief announcement. I am not stopping Legends. Okay, let me say that. I'm not stopping Legends, but there is going to be an influx of other games that I'm really hoping to play on the channel really soon. Most notably, like I talked to you guys before about the Dragon Quest game, but there's a couple others I'm going to consider shuffling into the channel, which means that there might be, as my attention gets shifted a little bit less content of Legends going forward. Just depends on how things work out for me, but I just want to experiment. We'll see. The algorithm really doesn't like when you do stuff like that as a YouTuber. They would prefer to keep you boxed in, but we'll just kind of see what happens here. That being said, if you enjoy the content, please show your support. Like I can't really say it any other way. Please show your support. The algorithm hasn't been too kind to my channel lately, and I don't think that's any secret. So that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the movies team in general. So these are the three new main characters that you're going to want to consider using. You see them already on the team. They're the best three new movies characters. The grouping is sorted by order received, so really they are the best three characters to come out recently. An argument can be made for the other three EXs being pretty decent, but I don't think they're worth considering in a very wide range in terms of like being on your finished product of your team. Speaking of your team and your finished products, I think it's very important to understand team building philosophy. So what I say by that is what's your philosophy? Let me know in the comments down below. Are you somebody that's going to A, run three characters and only run those three characters, never take anybody else, no matter what the situation calls for, you're just going to run those three? There are a lot of players that are like that. They'll just run like Zenkai Bench or like blah, blah, whatever. And this trio has a movie Zenkai Bench you can run. Like they can do things like that too, if you wanted to run this trio specifically. I don't play that way. I like to have at bare minimum 4 characters I'm going to consider taking into any match. And if I'm really, really enjoying things, I go 5 to 6. Really 5 is a sweet spot because there's only 5 colors, right? And that's the point. I like to have a full rainbow wheel of characters I consider bringing into any given match. I don't like sticking to just 3 characters, but there are a lot of very good and competitive players that are somewhere on the spectrum of being 3 characters, 4 characters, 5 characters on the team versus just having 1, 2, or 3 characters that are just completely bench characters, because Z abilities do always get activated. If you were not sure about that, Z abilities are always active. And then on that same note, when it comes to team building, I always get asked this. No, it doesn't matter what slot you equip these things in. They work on every spot. Like some people will say, oh, you got to put this in slot 3 if you want to get the key recovery. No, it doesn't work like that. All this stuff, it's always universally active. So that's a separate tangent. So, out of these 3 characters, let's just go ahead and strip these 2 off. Start off with Gohan. If we go ahead and take a look at it, Gohan is the best purple for this team, and by a pretty good margin. Gohan is an incredible character. No complaints whatsoever. He's pretty awesome in general. If you do not have Gohan, you're going to be looking at, it just depends on how you build the rest of your team, really. But you're probably, if you really want to have a purple character, if you want to run the full color wheel, you're probably going to be looking at the Zenkai 7 Broly as your next best character until some other characters start getting Zenkais, and that's just in my opinion. Again, other characters like who's that? Beto? That's Beto, right? Beto and the Vegeta at the top row are pretty good. You can find decent usage for Bojack. He's really power cut, but he still has a really good mechanic in the cover change. I mean, you can find decent usage for that, especially if you're like in a Zenkai boost him. I can't go that in depth. Everybody's situation is different, so I'll be just talking from my perspective and a more general sense of pretty much normalizing all the characters, LFs included for the record, to like 6 stars, because it changes a lot depending on your Z abilities and limit breaks you have on your specific link of your Legends limited characters, right? So again, no complaints whatsoever. Characters Gohan synergizes really well with, oddly enough, is the new Bojack. The new Bojack, for one, is an incredible character. And okay, so let me just kind of step back for a minute. He's not the best red for this team. That's pretty simple. Best red, in my opinion, is Gogeta. But you're going to find people that are not going to want to run Gogeta because he's not going to offer the Z ability, which personally to me, on that same topic of philosophy, if I have 5 Z abilities on a character and then 6 on one, like I'm cool with that. Like I don't mind Gogeta giving himself an exclusive Z ability buff. I don't mind that whatsoever. All the other characters have enough. Like it's fine. Like I'm cool with that. And maybe one more character offering themselves an exclusive buff and then 4 across. I don't think Cooler fits that build, but you get the point. But other than that, I'm not doing, you know, a bunch of characters that don't really buff each other unless I have some really strong Z abilities and Zenkai abilities potentially on the team. But yeah, if you don't have this dude, you want to run Bojack, in my opinion, as the next best red. And sleeper / dark horse candidates would be the Zenkai 7 Broly. He's got some decent utility. He's not incredible, got some decent utility. And then the next one, in my opinion, actually would be Great Saiyan 1 and 2. I think a lot of people would veer towards Frieza, and that's fair too. Frieza's actually really good. But I personally would love the supporting attributes of the Great Saiyan 1 and 2 for the Gohan personally. But again, either one is fine. Actually, Frieza above Broly, in my opinion. But Bojack, he has a mechanic, long story short, where he transforms. It's great. But one thing he does personally that's really good is he has the ability to allow any character to sub in quicker when he takes a rush while he's out there. So they think they're going to get him with a rising rush or whatever. He's going to shorten their count by 5. That synergizes incredibly well with Gohan, who is a reviving character. You want to throw this dude out there, or endurance characters, if you need to take a rising rush combo. They're the go-tos for that, right? And that's going to be a free revive. On top of that, Gohan does this really cool thing where he also buffs allies, blah blah. There's a heal here too, but I personally I leverage the heal sometimes, but I also sometimes don't. It just kind of depends on the needs. But more or less, I'll do it for the green card draw, which his pre-transformation green card shortens his self-substitution count by 3. So really, in conjunction with Bojack, there's only like a 3 seconds or so, 2 or 3 second count that's unaccounted for. If you use the green, sub in Bojack, odds are they're going to like do a sidestep once or twice, and then you'll be able to bring Gohan literally right back for a rising rush potentially. Like, there's great synergy there. So personally, in my opinion, you want to offer Bojack that red spot on your team. Now, here's where things get a little bit tricky. I think, for the record, you have Trunks here. He's really good. You can also make an argument for other characters like Metal Cooler, the Super Saiyan 1 Goku on the top row, Zenkai 7 Broly. I'm going to talk about him in a minute. He's not a part of this topic. But Bojack, I guess, but really just the Super Saiyans on the top row and Cooler are going to be the ones that you're going to be considering. Bujin is actually pretty decent, but unless you have him really highly starred, I'm not going to really talk much about the Hera Clan members. I mean, you can veer towards running them on your team, and they have really good Z abilities if you're running a lot of Hera Clan characters, but I'm not going to really veer towards them that much, just because, again, a lot of people are not going to have them highly starred. It's just not really possible unless you're just spending a lot of money on the game, and or you're getting incredibly lucky at the same time. You need a little bit of both to get those EX characters, especially highly leveled, when there's a lot of them on release. So, best character here, Broly, best character green. Now, he is an incredible tank. With this trio specifically, you have a couple things going for you. You have a really good core. You have a purple character, a red character, and a green character. That's a full color counter trio there. So purple, red, and green. So yeah, if you don't know what I mean by that, it's the yellow character would counter Gohan, so you can go to the red character. And the red character would be countered by a blue character, so you can go to your green character. Now, that's a 3v2 type advantage typically. So it's a really good trio. Now, the only downside is you have 2 defensive characters. What the cool thing is with this team, you're going to have a lot of sustain. It's going to last quite a long time. And if you only run 3 characters specifically, this would be a good trio to consider, considering that the blue and yellow spots are a little bit more, they're a little top heavy as well, right? Now, if you don't have him, which he's a story mode character, you should have him. Trunks is really good too. Trunks is kind of like a one-trick pony, really, in my opinion. The way I use him is I cover in with him, let him take some early damage. He will then, from there, when he's below 75%, heal, blah, blah. He also has a really powerful blue card, which he draws as the main ability. He gets draw speed here. But the thing you're really looking at for Trunks is, if you need it, Bojack can force Trunks to come out as well. And when he's defeated, he's going to heal your hybrid allies, namely Gohan in this trio, and also offer Bojack and Gohan a damage buff. So he's got defeated buffs. He's kind of just, again, he has some combo extension here. He has draw speed on main. He's kind of, like I said, he's pretty like standard, really. There's nothing like crazy about him. He's a pretty standard character. But yeah, if you don't have Broly, he's the one that you would want to run, in my opinion. So that's, again, a good trio. If you're running 3, again, worth consideration. Let's talk about the yellow characters next. Now, again, not really going to talk much about the Hera Clan members. Again, she has a really good Z ability. They all do. They really all do. Do I think she fits? No, because we're running more, at this point, if you haven't noticed, this is more of a strike-based team. Bojack can kind of go either way. Broly would prefer strikes. Gohan is a melee character. But typically with defense-type characters, they typically have a melee focus, and she goes completely in opposite of that. Now, the yellow spot, I think, is kind of interesting. Like, when you look at the yellow spot, it's like, okay, well, who am I running here? If you have a 6-star Gogeta Blue, I think he's your answer. Incredible character at 6 stars plus, just incredible. And then from there, you're getting all the Z abilities, stuff like that. Double attack is quite good as well. Yeah, you want to run him, period, I think, if you have him 6-star. And honestly, if you have him 3-star, he may be worth consideration. But other than that, your next best character, your best character in general, otherwise, is going to be that dude. He fits the theme perfectly. He's also a character that could be good with the defensive utility of having the cover knockback. But again, if you're somebody that really doesn't like having characters, because there are people that are really OCD about it, right? If you're somebody that really doesn't like having characters that don't offer the full Z ability spread, I can understand it. Your best character otherwise, other than those two, in my opinion, it's kind of a toss-up. For me personally, I'd say Turles, because I actually really like Turles' playstyle, and I've always thought he was underrated. Personally, I would say Turles is the next best character. He should offer a movies buff. Yeah, he does. Blast attack and then double attack if you're a powerful opponent. So the other two would get double attack. Gohan is not. So it's not particularly premium for Gohan, but I do like Turles' playstyle in general. So I would personally offer him that last spot if I were building the team myself. Otherwise, Yellow Broly's worth consideration, but again, powerful opponent exclusive. So that's pretty much it. But again, this is kind of looking a little bit more in line with what we want to do. Now, when some characters like this dude potentially get a Zenkai, maybe, right? I guess I don't want to sleep on him well either. He still has a really cancer mechanic, despite his stats being power crept and his unique abilities as well being power crept. He still has a very linear playstyle that's really cancerous to play against. Okay, so we're going to give this spot to this dude just because I am going to at least have one of those Zenkai characters. Like I said, Super Gogeta really should be the one in the red anyway. And at that point, you're getting 4 Z abilities across the board. You know what? Actually, I'm going to give it to Gogeta because I think he's fine there. Blue, last but not least. So Blue, this one, I think Blue is really interesting. I think Blue is extremely interesting. So here's the deal with Blue. If you happen to be running movie/fusion team, I guess, with the Gogeta, you can technically do that, right? Your Gohan is going to get 1, 2, 3, 4 Z abilities if that last spot is a movie's character. If you were to sub out Bojack for the red, you're getting 4 on Gohan, 4 on Broly, and all this. The fusion characters are getting 6 if my math is correct on that. But yes, I mean that's decent. That's good enough. I mean, it depends on what your options are at the end of the day. If you're running that, you can do that. He's decent. He's nothing special, that Blue Gogeta. But the real question here, and I don't want to underrate this dude. He's decent as well. He's a power crept Zenkai. He's not as good as some of the newer ones. Cooler is decent, but he's not going to fit this team or theme as well personally as he would like a Lineage of Evil team. And there are other characters here that are worth consideration if they were to get a Zenkai. Most notably this dude. I'm really looking at him. Or you can run the tried and true, albeit old, Blue character that used to be the main character on this team when Gohan Yellow and Bojack Purple were the main meta for the team. Now, really, it comes down to these two. And the funny thing is, they can actually both be on your team. That's the funny thing. Gokua is going to take this spot, and for one reason in particular, other than the kit, I always believe in having an HP buffer on the team. I think HP is incredibly valuable, especially if you have all the other stats represented, like Broly's offering double defense, you have strike attack and defense, you have all these other splits. I think HP is incredibly valuable, and you want to try to make a spot for it on any team you're building ever, personally. I think the game really revolves around a lot of tankiness and tanky equips and stuff like that, so you're good in higher PvP if HP buffers on your team. He also is offering a strike attack buff, furthering the theme of himself and Bojack even more. Not to mention, he actually, the funny thing about him is I don't think he has a better kit than Broly. Because Broly does so many things, right? Broly does so many things. Damage buff here, damage buff there, blah, blah, blah. But I will say there's a couple things that I will say go in Goku's favor. For one, Gokua does really good damage pretty much always, but he is going to rip apart the hybrid meta that we are back in because they've been putting out hybrids again. He is very, 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 very relevant in this current state of the game. Unlike Broly, who's a good character, but is not really doing anything super relevant to the game. I mean, this dude is like, he's ripping the purple Gohan to shreds. He even rips the green Trunks to shreds. He pretty much just decimates any hybrid. So he's incredibly relevant, and I think it's very fair to say he deserves that spot as your best and main Blue character. Again, I think Broly does too many things, but Goku is like on his heels, even kit-wise, in my opinion. So edging him out as the Blue for this team, I'm going to give it to him because of the Z ability, and then also because of the relevance. He's just really good in general, even without the relevance. He's just really good and very, very good combo monster. Like the full card reload, like he's really good. So he's getting that spot there. So really, you have all colors represented. And that last spot can be a flex spot. It can be character like Broly. It can really be whatever you want. It can be a Zenkai buffer. Like what if you wanted to run Purple Broly, because you wanted to buff up your Gohan more. Purple Broly's perfect. Zenkai buffs on Gohan, also double attack across the board. That's awesome, right? If you wanted to buff up your Gogeta more, it's not as premium. He would get a Z ability and a Zenkai ability from the God Vegeta. If you wanted to do that, I don't know if I'm personally doing that. I'd rather get the Z ability across the board than something that greedy. Zenkai buffs have a tendency to be very, very greedy, and Broly's one of the few that can actually achieve what you're looking for. Speaking of Broly, if you wanted to buff up Goku more and have a worse Z ability across the board, you can do the other blue Broly, but that's pretty much it. I mean, Red Broly also, same type of deal. He would give a lesser buff to Red Bojack. You can do that. There's a lot of options that are flex options. So really, if you're looking for a full core, this is what you're looking for, in my opinion, of 5 characters that you can run. With the LFs being normalized to 6 stars, this is what you're running. Without the 6 star, you're dropping him and running the God Vegeta, in my opinion. And really, Bojack's interchangeable. It just depends on what your playstyle is. But Bojack or Gogeta, if you want a hyper offensive setup, you're running that, and you're running Gogeta blue back here, and you're good to go, dude. Like, that's in my opinion what you're looking at right here. And the last spot can be, like, again, whoever, Z ability buffer, Gohan, whatever you want, or Broly, like I said, whatever you want to do there. So that's pretty much it, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in. If you guys enjoy, let me know what your thoughts are. Again, gonna probably be experimenting some things. So yeah, let me know what you guys want to see. That being said, have an awesome day, and I'll see all of you in the next video.